Good afternoon. Members of the public, CCRB staff, and my colleagues. I'm Shireen Crawford. For those who have not met me, I'm a mayoral appointee to the CCRB and a newly appointed interim chair. Thank you. Oh. Appreciate that. To my left is Jonathan Darsh, the executive director, who many of you know, and I'd like to call our March public board meeting to order. I'm going to ask my fellow board members to introduce themselves, and I'll start on the right.
Good afternoon, Rahul Agrawal, mayoral appointee.
Good afternoon, Pat Smith, mayoral appointee.
A. Hogan, City Council designee, and I think we should have had a meeting today outside.
Joe Fox from Rockaway, the second that,
Yes.
on the beach, police commissioner appointee.
Yes.
Royal appointee for board.
Is Tuesday.
Frank Dwyer, Police Commissioner Designee.
Kevin McGinn, Police Commissioner Designee.
Thank you all. Noted beach meetings going forward.
Yes.
Oh, and I think we have some board members on the screen, and so we'll take a minute to have them introduce themselves.
John Siegel, mayoral appointee.
Herman Merritt, City Council designee from Brooklyn.
Good afternoon. I'm Joseph Puma, the City Council designee from Manhattan.
Thank you. We've got everyone. So I'd like to do an adoption of the minutes before we move forward. Are there any changes or corrections to the March minutes? You know what? And I just started a March meeting. It's April.
Right, it's the March.
It's the March.
Right. No, earlier I said March,
Oh.
April.
Mhm.
Now it's the March minutes. If everyone's had a chance to review and has any changes or corrections to offer. Okay, if none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Approved.
Next month we'll amend the minutes. So
Is there a second? All those in favor of approving the minutes? Aye.
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 All those opposed?
I'm going to abstain.
The minutes are approved. I have a few brief remarks. As I mentioned, Shireen Crawford, recently appointed as interim chair. Before I begin further, I'd like to take a moment to thank Pat Smith, who served as interim chair for the past few months. Thank you, Pat. I am honored to sit in this seat. I'm excited for the work ahead. For those of you who don't know me, my career has centered on issues and topics related to justice reform, prosecution, and policy. I've spent a lot of time rethinking how our justice system can be more restorative and more rehabilitative. I'm here today because I believe in the work of this agency and the work this agency does, providing civilian oversight of the New York City Police Department. It's important work. It is this collaboration and the diligence of many who allows the agency to do this job well. Just yesterday, I had the opportunity to attend what the CCRB took part in as the New York State Oversight Consortium Spring Conference. And it was a valuable opportunity to hear from fellow practitioners around the state who are working in this space. One notable conversation that my colleague on the board got to facilitate was a discussion about building trust between police and communities and the communities they serve. What stood out to me in that conversation and really throughout the day was the voice of the young people in the room. There was both hope and despair from those young people. What was meaningful, though, to me was to see that they were in the conversation. They were in the room, they were knowledgeable, they care, they're showing up, they're speaking out. I believe that we, as the agency, the board, and the community here engaged, we need to listen and empower those young people in the next generation. We owe it to them to provide the space and the tools for them to help continue this work forward. It's a difficult question how best to build trust between communities and police with big challenging answers. I don't know that we have them all, but right, we're all working towards those answers and solutions. I believe it's meetings like this one that are a small part of the larger solution, and I'm happy to be here with you on this journey. As you will hear shortly in a presentation from our Assistant Deputy Executive Director for Technology, complaints of misconduct are still near record highs. This is a key finding in our 2025 annual report, which was released on Monday, just a couple days ago. But what's particularly striking to me about the scale of this work is what it says about the workforce. Every complaint we receive, every investigation that is closed, they're all a reflection of the tireless efforts of our staff that perform in service of all New Yorkers. And I want to thank them for their diligence. I also want to thank you, the public, for being here today and for engaging in this process. These meetings are an opportunity for us to hear from you and for me to speak on behalf of all of my fellow board members. I think it's fair that I can say that we take this opportunity to engage in this way very seriously. Now, I'd like to introduce again our Executive Director, Jonathan Darsh.
Thank you, Chair Crawford. On behalf of the staff, I want to congratulate the chair on her recent appointment as interim chair and thank Pat Smith for his service as interim chair. The agency's work is vital for public safety in New York City, and I'm pleased to have worked with dedicated leaders throughout my tenure here. April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month. The CCRB is committed to creating a safe space for victims. In recent years, we created a working group to ensure our agency imbues trauma-informed principles throughout our organization. We also work with the NYPD to share information, findings, and best practices to help make our city a safer place for victims of sexual violence. I wish to thank the members of our trauma-informed working group for their efforts on this vital issue. The chair mentioned yesterday's New York State oversight event at City Tech. I want to acknowledge everyone who organized and attended the New York State Oversight Conference. Our agency helped put it on in partnership with NACOL, the National Association for the Civilian Oversight of Law Enforcement, the Rochester Police Accountability Board, and other members of the New York State Oversight Consortium. We hosted leaders, practitioners, and other interested people for a day of panel discussions about police oversight in New York State. To that end, I was pleased to hear the news that the Community Police Review Board in Albany was able to meet again for the first time since January. 2 new appointees from Albany's mayor meant the board could finally hold a meeting because it had a quorum. This was their first meeting in several months. The New York City Civilian Complaint Review Board is the largest police oversight organization in the country, but we are just one part of a larger community of oversight practitioners. And when one body takes a step forward, it helps us all. As a reminder, our office is open for walk-in complaints, but it's also possible to file complaints online at nyc.gov/be-complaint, by telephone at 1-800-341-2272, or by calling 311, or by tagging the agency on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. For those wishing to speak during the public comment section of today's meeting, we ask that you keep comments to 4 minutes. If anyone wishes to file a complaint today, we have 2 investigators on hand ready to take any new complaints. Those investigators are Emma Steidehar and Rob Ryan. Yvonne Torres is also here from our Civilian Assistance Unit. Thank you all for your presence here today, and we'll now move on to our board's formal business.
Thank you. Any questions for the Executive Director from board members? Right, we're moving forward to our presentation from Lincoln McVeigh, Assistant Deputy Executive Director for Technology. I got to read the whole thing. I got to get it right. We're going to talk about the 2025 annual report.
Yes. How's that sound? That sound good?
Yes.
All right. Hello, My name is Lincoln McVeigh. I'm the Director of Analytics at CCRB. Our 2025 annual report was published this Monday, and I'm going to discuss 3 charts from the report that I believe are of particular interest.
It's up, Lincoln.
Oh, thank you.
All right, too.
For those of you keeping score at home, the charts I'm going to discuss are on page 7, page 30, and page 45 of the report. This is figure 1 from page 7. It shows complaints received by year for the last 25 years. Looking at the recent data, the first thing that jumps out is the dip from 2020 to 2022. You can probably guess what caused it. The fall in complaints is almost certainly due to the COVID epidemic that started in March of 2020. The second thing that hits your eye is the rise in complaints that starts in 2023. In each of the last 3 years, CCRB has received more complaints than at any time since 2012. The million-dollar question is why? What's causing the rise in complaint numbers? One possible explanation is the work of our outreach unit. Maybe we're getting more complaints because more people have heard about us. Or maybe the increase in complaints is just a reflection of an increase in police activity, an increase in police-civilian contacts. To me, that seems the more likely explanation. But it's difficult to prove. The most detailed publicly reported measure of police activity is the NYPD stops data. Out of curiosity, I created this chart comparing the number of NYPD stops to the number of CCRB complaints. At first glance, it looks like the lines move in tandem. The number of stops dips in 2020, and there's a corresponding fall in complaints. In 2024, the number of reported stops jumps up, and CCRB complaints are at a peak. It makes sense that the number of NYPD stops would be related to the number of CCRB complaints. But when you dig a little deeper into the data, the relationship falls apart. This chart is the same as the one on the previous slide, but it's expanded to show all the years for which the department has published stops data. And when you look at the whole history, there hardly seems to be any correlation at all. In 2011, the department reported 685,000 stops. The CCRB received 5,900 complaints. Skip ahead to 2025. There are 26,000 reported stops. The CCRB received 5,600 complaints. Just 300 fewer complaints than in 2011, even though there were more than 500,000 fewer reported stops. This leads me back to the million-dollar question. What's causing the recent rise in complaints? I'm afraid we don't really know. This next chart, from page 30 of the annual report, shows the disciplinary recommendations for substantiated allegations, broken down by the various FATO types. For example, in 2024, 47% of all the substantiated force allegations received a charges recommendation. In 2025, 41% received a charges recommendation. Why am I telling you this? Because in my view, this chart represents one of the board's greatest achievements in recent years. The achievement is consistency. In 2021, the board adopted NYPD's disciplinary matrix. And this chart compares outcomes for the 4 years prior to 2021 to the 4 years after. Prior to the adoption of the matrix, we see large year-on-year variances. For example, In 2019, 65% of substantiated force allegations resulted in charges. But in 2020, the very next year, only 21% resulted in charges. That's a big difference. Now compare that to the outcomes in the 4 years after the matrix was adopted. From 2022 to 2025, the charges rate for substantiated allegations of force was 43%, 45%, 47%, and 41%. The total variance of the charges rate over the entire 4 years is only 6 percentage points. And you see the same pattern for all allegation types: abuse of authority, discourtesy, and offensive language. Outcomes before 2021 fluctuate wildly. Outcomes after 2021 do not. That's a significant achievement. The board adopted the disciplinary matrix to bring consistency to its recommendations, and the numbers show it's been a big success. This last chart I want to highlight is from page 45. Figure 41 shows concurrence rates over the last 5 years. The concurrence rate measures how often the police commissioner imposes the discipline recommended by CCRB's board. In 2025, there was a big jump in the concurrence rate. I've added the line chart at the bottom to make it easier to see. In 2024, the concurrence rate was only 30%, an all-time low. In 2025, the concurrence rate climbed to 84%, close to an all-time high. The story behind this remarkable change is that in early 2025, Commissioner Tisch put an end to her predecessor's policy of dismissing CCRB cases that were closed less than 90 days prior to the expiration of the statute of limitations. There was no good reason to dismiss these cases, and thanks to the commissioner, they are no longer being dismissed. This is a very positive development, both for the CCRB and for the civilians who come to us with their complaints. Thank you for listening. And if you have any questions, I will try to answer them.
Thank you, Lincoln. Does anyone have any questions?
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you. Excellent. Right, we'll move to the public comment section of the meeting. For those of you who have not joined us before, we're going to begin with those that are joining us virtually, who will make a comment, followed by those who are in person in the room with us. So for those joining virtually who would like to make a comment, please use the raise your hand feature, and please keep your comments to 4 minutes. And I'm going to look to Jahai. If there's anyone, and we can give it a minute for people to raise their hands.
Okay, we did have one person with their hand raised that seems like their hand went back down. It was Steve Omi, but I don't see the hand anymore. Can we just give it a moment? All right, the hand is raised. Can we please start the timer and elevate Steve Omi?
Hello, how you doing?
We can hear you, sir.
My question, well, it's not a question, is, the thing is, if police officers don't have no training in social environments, they don't have no training in, the training off the jump is, don't trust people, don't trust the community. And we see this by the way they get upset, like when there's no violence, they have quotas where they have to go looking for people. So if we was training them to be relatable to the community, instead of training them to be distrustful, which we are aware of, training them to get quotas, that they would get right up to they get quotas. Quotas is like equated to innocent people that we have a number that is innocent before they even arrested. Why is that even legal? So I think if the training was to be more social and more adapted to the environment, it would be less more people will be less likely to complain because they'll be more relatable to the community they serve.
Thank you for that. I know you said it wasn't,
God bless.
wasn't a question, it was a comment, but I appreciate highlighting the importance of training, and I think we agree that training is important, and connecting and understanding the communities that the police serve is an important mandate for them.
The next person on our list is Lynn Lewis Charles. Can we restart the comment?
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for this time. My question is, if it's difficult to place a complaint within the precinct that I'm dealing with, because right now I'm dealing with retaliation, and I've made several efforts to make a complaint, and at this point, because of this retaliation, I'm quite intimidated to even come to your organization to make a complaint. What is the advice that you would give me for my position now, dealing with this retaliation?
Ms. Lewis Charles, have you actually filed a complaint with us yet?
No, I haven't. I've done several, I made several attempts by going to the stations, the precincts. I've even tried to file online, which is always stating to me I have to come into the station because that's the first initial attempts. I've made several attempts to go to the station, but when I try to complete one online, it won't allow me to. So I'm quite discouraged because this is an ongoing situation. And quite frankly, I am interested in joining the force, but I'm just a little lackluster in coming to you all to get some assistance because I feel like it's going to get worse. The retaliation is going to get worse.
So Ms. Lewis Charles, I'm going to ask that you hold on, and we're going to have one of our investigators get on with you right now. Someone, Jahai, is going to speak with you to figure out how we can get in touch, and we're going to call you right now just to get the initial statement done.
Thank you.
Mayor Petty, if there are no more hands raised online, we'd like to take a moment. Is there anyone else that can ask me a question?
Thank you. So we'll move to
I think he was saying we should give one more
more
minute.
moment.
One more moment.
That will conclude with the online public comment.
Thank you. We'll move to in the room. Those joining us in person, if you're interested in making a public comment, ask that you line up behind the podium. Keep your comment to 4 minutes, please.
I'm Michael Myers. I'm the president of the New York Civil Rights Coalition. I want to congratulate the interim chair.
Thank you.
May your time be generous and your commitment be recognized. I also want to appreciate and thank again the interim chair. Prior to you, and I think he was short-lived, but I thought he did an excellent job, able chair, and I want to congratulate you as well. I'm looking forward to the new appointments. I think the mayor will finally get around to getting a full civilian complaint review board. We need it. We need it. We need a situation, a commission, a board that is not only well attended, but on the job. Otherwise, people will get discouraged, and I don't want the public to get discouraged. What I come today to rise to speak to you about yesterday's conference, Madam Chair and Executive Director. My assessment was it was an excellent conference, absolutely excellent. And you have my commendation. I especially commend the Executive Director. I especially commend Mr. Holman. You were excellent as a moderator.
Thank you, sir.
You invited questions, comments, and not only just questions and comments, but throughout the whole room, which was very well attended. People were encouraged to make their positions clear, whether or not they agreed with the agenda or the viewpoints that were expressed, and you wanted to hear from people, and you got that. I was very impressed. So I want to commend the board, the chair, and the executive director for organizing, and the staff, especially the staff, for organizing and expediting an excellent, excellent, excellent conference. So I don't have anything else to say other than to say to congratulate you, because we don't have that very often. And you have excellent speakers who gave their point of view and dissented and different from the positions of the CCRB. That's not everybody does that. Not everybody is open to criticism. You guys were excellent. You should be congratulated and commended. And that's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Myers.
Thank you, Ms. Myers.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry I missed yesterday's conference. I had a few colleagues there, though. My name is Anastasia Tomkin. I'm a journalist and a community organizer. But today I'm speaking representing myself. There was a situation that happened a couple weeks ago at the Fordham Avenue train stop in the Bronx, the D train. I observed 4 officers surrounding one young man who looked very young. He looked very distressed. So I leaned against the wall and I observed. And I saw that they were extremely discourteous to him. They were questioning him in a very aggressive manner. It was just very excessive hostility towards this young man. And I tried to figure out what he did wrong. Long story short, I stayed there for the entire duration. I ended up getting involved, sort of. I confronted them. I said, hey, it seems like you're being pretty excessive in this encounter. They were like, who the heck are you? We went back and forth about racial profiling and the lawsuit against the NYPD in 2013. And it just was the longest back and forth of my life, but it was very much worth it. And I do intend to file a formal complaint. Basically, the guy, what they gave him a ticket for was he was vaping in the subway. He admitted to having a vape. However, I noticed that he had a clear speech impediment. He also was not fully an English speaker because he is half Japanese, half West African, and he had just recently come from Japan. So those 2 things I noticed in the encounters, okay, they're questioning him, they're criticizing all of his answers in a very rough, aggressive manner, but he also seems to have a speech impediment. So that's the reason I intervened. I don't normally do this, but I feel like it was very much worth it because I've also heard that that is something they commonly do at that stop, and it's a particular team of officers. I got 2 of their business cards, so I have their names to include in the complaints. But my question is basically, since you guys have such a backlog of cases and fewer staff, I feel like a time-sensitive case like this, if I file it and I provide all details, the body camera footage is there. It's from 2 weeks ago. It's something that you guys should be able to pounce on and immediately investigate. But I don't know if it'll just sort of be put on the shelf or considered a case with less priority. So in closing, I feel like personally, my views based on research, based on statistics, are that officers do not treat white underage young men in that manner, and that in itself is just unacceptable. And it is a factor in New York policing, and it is something that should be considered in investigating this case. So I'd love to hear what you guys think about that. Thank you.
So, Ms. Tompkin, thank you for coming to us with your complaint. We have an investigator here who, if you could talk to now, even to just give us your initial contact information, then we can schedule something later for a more thorough conversation, if that's more convenient for you. I can't tell you whether or not anything about the investigation going forward. Like, we need to get the facts from you and move forward. But based on your description, that is something that is within our jurisdiction, and racial profiling is not subject to the strategic resource allocation determination. And you coming to us 2 weeks after it happened, we will be more than able to investigate this matter.
Okay, thank you.
But it's not gonna be an overnight thing, because there is an investigation, right? So they're going to have to interview people, we have to get them to come down and have they say or whatever. So it will be handled, but it's not gonna be tomorrow, you know what I mean? It's not gonna have that rush, but we will deal with it. Okay, appreciate that.
Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon. Okay, Mayor?
Yeah.
Good afternoon. My question is to you, Executive Director. I registered for the oversight meeting yesterday in Brooklyn.
Can we have your name?
Juan Romero. About a week ago. I never received an email saying that I could attend. I was wondering if this has anything to do with my association with Nick Cons, the gentleman that you do not allow to come into this meeting, even though he has done nothing.
So I'll check on that and get back to you.
Okay. How do you, you're going to get back to me personally? Who do I give my information to? Or
So if you give your information to Prince, right behind you.
Okay.
If you just, do you know who Prince is?
that gentleman?
Yes. So if you, either he or I or someone from the staff will get back to you and let you know what happened.
Okay. Two more questions, if I may.
You got 4 minutes.
Is Mr. Khan still not allowed to come up here? You know who that is,
So,
Nick?
yes. So to be clear, he has been determined to be a threat to a safety threat to the people who attend the meeting, and that's why he's not allowed into the meetings.
Okay. Third question, Mr. Hogan, yesterday you gave Mr. Khan, you told him your word is your bond, that you would speak to him.
Yes.
He waited for you, you left, you never spoke to him. He's actually outside the building.
I'm
He
glad
was
he-
wondering if you would speak to him today.
That's beautiful. I hope it's not too late we get out of here. And it's very unfortunate when I got back to see Ms. Carr speak. That's Eric Gardner's mother. I definitely came back on time at 2:27, and I was told that he'd left. I was very unfortunate not to have a conversation with him. But let him know he left at 2:27 or before then.
Because he told me he was there till around 4 p.m.
Yeah, well, that's not good if he lied to you like that, you know. But I definitely.
Well, there's video of him being, several videos that I'm sure you've all seen already.
Yeah.
Going viral of him being there all the
Well,
whole
I
day.
was- Yeah, let me
So-
just, if I may, I definitely wanted to have a conversation with him. Or when I stopped, when he asked me to stop.
I saw the video, yeah.
Yeah, and
I wasn't
so,
there. Yeah.
when I returned from my lunch, he was not there. I also gave one of the board members, one of the staff members, my phone number to call me, and I was going to leave from Mrs. Carr's speech and come see him. That when I go see him, if it's not too late, we have a brief conversation. He'll tell you that maybe an hour or so he wasn't there before 4 o'clock. Okay?
Okay. That's all. Thank you for listening. Appreciate it. Thank you.
I don't see any additional comments.
Thank you.
Moving to old business. Do we have any old business to come before the board? No. New business? Hearing none. All right. We will adjourn to the executive session. The agenda for the executive session is the board will hear 2 full board cases, and the executive director will discuss pending personnel actions. The general counsel will provide updates regarding pending litigation. Is there a motion to adjourn to the executive session? Do I have a second? Second. We will, meeting will now adjourn to the executive session. Thank you.